Personally, I am very much fond of the topics of innovation and technology in relation to sustainability because, as highlighted by UNGC, one of the main ways to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals is through radical or breakthrough innovation. In addition, as highlighted by the UNDP, the SDGs represent $12 trillion in market opportunities in innovation in 4 economic systems, one of them being cities and another being energy and materials. So our session now is going to consist of 4 individual presentations focused on innovation within 4 different organizations, and this will be followed by a 10-minute Q&A session with our presenters, moderated by Dr. Raed Bikeirat, the Managing Director of CEBC, whom I would like to invite on the stage. In order, our presentations are going to be led by Dr. Ghassan Al-Nimri, Managing Director of EcoStructure International, Keith Gardner, CEO of Eshara Water, Sanjeev Kumar, CEO of ESAN Scope, and Vahid Fotuhi, Vice President for Business Development, Middle East and Africa at Zero Mass Water. So this is the last time for me being here on the stage today. For all those of you that have been with us from the morning and the ones that have joined us in the afternoon, thank you very much for a tremendous support. And now over to Dr. Bikeirat to lead the innovation session. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Michaela. Great work for today. So on to the, I would say, the most interesting session of the day, saving the best for last. So I would like just to open up with a couple of words. We've seen today how difficult it is to manage the energy transition. We really, as a human race, we need to pull out every tool possible to try to be able to combat climate change and manage the energy transition in such a way that we come out on the positive side. One of those tools is questioning the conventional wisdom. When I say questioning conventional wisdom, is questioning how we do things, questioning how we do engineering, how we do design, questioning conventional wisdom when it comes to deploying technology, questioning conventional wisdom when it comes to business models. And this is exactly the purpose of this session. So hopefully now you'll get to see quick glimpses, I would say. We have 10 minutes each. To talk about the topics of how to do differently design and engineering, technology integration, and business models. So with that, I will start with Ghassan Al-Nimri. He's the Director of EcoStructures, and we'll be talking about sustainable design applications. Ghassan, on to you.
Thank you, Dr. Raed, very much appreciated, and thanks for people staying behind. That's very nice to see you. You're the dedicated, committed people who are staying behind. We've heard lots about very interesting topics, mobility, solar energy, and so on, all about providing energy to power our lives. And from the moment we wake up until the moment we sleep, and even while we're sleeping, we're consuming energy. This is the fact of life. We talk about mobility, we talk about air conditioning, heating, and cooling, and so on. Mobility might consume a quarter of our energy, but HVAC may be consuming half the energy. And what we're trying to do is say, while the focus is on providing more renewable energy, our focus is how to reduce the total energy consumed. And I'm not going to scare you, but we should be scared. And Dr. Raed, I agree with you. We should challenge why we do things. So the way we're going today, we're going to have a region which is going to go up 4 degrees C in peak temperatures. 4 degrees, that's life-threatening. At 4 degrees higher than today, we will die in 6 hours being outdoors. If you're 6 hours outdoors at the peak time, you could physically die at that 4 degrees. And this is primarily because this region uses 3/4 of the energy produced purely for air conditioning. If we consider that industry, lighting, EVs is 1/4 and the rest is just air conditioning, it's not really a positive sign. So we can talk about the scary part, but it is scary. 3/4 of energy using it. So how do we continue doing this? What's the stand? The plan is very simple. The plan is to ask why we design things the way we design them. Why not change? And our design is a very simple method of combining the structural with the mechanical. So rather than having a structure by itself and an AC by itself, we're saying how do we combine them in a way which makes things more efficient? And the basic simple is using the concrete, which is available everywhere. We have concrete slabs in our houses, our offices, our malls. By putting air inside, we cool the slabs. The slabs will then store this energy, and will cool the spaces inside them. So this is proven. This is started in Sweden in a very hot, very cold place. It started to warm homes more efficiently. So minus 24 degrees C. Over time, we've applied it in the Gulf, so 50-degree plus. So we have projects all over the world, North America, Australia, Europe, Middle East. Our typical performance here is 50% less AC. That's 5-0. Of course, it cuts your costs, it cuts your operation maintenance, power consumption, and provides a much more comfortable and safer environment inside. Again, just using slight change of how we design when we combine these two elements. Just some brief idea of projects, just give you an idea. So on the top left is a big hotel, 30 floors, and an office and a mall. This is in Stockholm. So this is from minus 24 to plus 30 degrees C. And the middle top is a hospital for AIDS patients. This is a high quality healthcare facility where the design requires superior indoor environment, and that's why we were chosen. See some apartment buildings. The building on the left in the middle is a university in England where we eliminated heating and cooling completely. No mechanical heating, no mechanical cooling, just fans. And the bottom right is our newest project. This is in Africa, in Botswana. This is a government office and a retail center, minus 5 to plus 45. This to give you an idea. We've done 435 projects worldwide, just a few ideas. These are some of the projects here in the Gulf. In the top right is an office in Dubai. Its air conditioning was cut 55, 60%. In the top left is a school which opened a few years ago. This actually won the WGBC Green School of the Year. It won the Meat Project School of the Year, and so on. We cut AC 58%. In the bottom left is an office in Jeddah where the energy consumption is 50% less conventional. And the middle bottom is a Lulu hypermarket, 50% less AC, 35% less power consumption. And interestingly, the office on the right in Jeddah, we were able to add one extra floor in the same height and still cut AC by 60%. So these are functioning schools, hospitals, villas, homes, and so on. Some more examples, but just gives you an idea. And rather than talking kilowatts and kilowatt hours and tons of AC and so on, the ultimate objective of AC is comfort. And we need to make sure that it's functioning. We don't want to be in a position of providing something green, environmental, but that's not comfortable. So these are some statements from our clients, that it works better, it's easier to use, it's saving energy. The first one is interesting. Why? Because that project is partly conventional AC and partly thermodeck AC. And you can see the comparison between the two. We'll show some more later. But another one which is interesting is a 10-year study in the UK, where a 10-year study of our building showed that the energy use was roughly half of conventional, and it's minimal maintenance. Another one is the last project, which is very important for us because that was voted the highest occupant comfort building in England, summer and winter, and it's also the lowest running cost building in England at the same time. So you're actually benefiting from cost and comfort. So how does it work? This is the key question. The basic idea is we want to actually cool the concrete slabs. The slabs are cooled, they store the energy, then they radiate. And we use this on the cycle of 24 hours. So we're cooling the slab at night when the temperatures outside is lower. That energy is stored in the slab. In the day, the temperature is higher. The slab is then radiating this cool. And this cycle happens day and night, summer and winter. Ideally, in our projects, the temperature inside should not vary more than a couple of degrees day and night, summer and all year round. It should not be going up and down. It should have a stable thermal envelope, comfortable year round. And the idea of thermal comfort from radiant cooling is much better than convection. You have lots of air. In this room, most of the air we breathe is recirculated air. It comes in, it warms up, it goes up to the roof, it gets cooled, sent back down. This constant cycling is what gives us sickness, illness, fungus, and so on. And in our system, we have more fresh air, we have no recirculation, so it's a much healthier environment. I'm going to show you some pictures of what the AC looks like from inside. But before that, I want to just show you the basic idea. So we have a concrete slab with voids. It comes from a factory. We use the voids. If there's no concrete voids, we actually use metal ducts inside the formwork to create an air channel. And this gives us a chance to enter the slab with warm or cold air. So in UAE, we would actually put in cold air at 14 degrees, and it comes out at about 20 degrees. And the slab is cool. In Toronto or Oslo, we go in at maybe 35, 40 degrees, and then it'll come out at 24. As I just came from Toronto actually this morning, at 3 in the morning. We're looking at a project at university there. And we were making a tour with the staff. And during the tour, one of the ladies who works at the university said, now I understand why I am the first person to come to the university and I'm the last person to leave, because the only place her allergies don't act up is at the office. At home, at school, at home in the car she has allergies. At the university, none. Why? More fresh air, comfortable temperature, no recirculation. So indoor environment health is very important. And we will replace all the mechanical equipment, all these ducts and fan coils and chilled water network, all this mechanical equipment is replaced with just simply an air duct. The air duct would just connect to the slab. Once you have the air in the slab, your AC is working. Again, heating and cooling, doesn't matter. And the simplicity is actually quite remarkable. And the operations, of course. In our spaces, we don't have any mechanical equipment, just ducts and slabs. So controlling is easier, maintaining it is easier, and over the life of the project, we expect from our clients, what they tell us is 70 to 80% lower operation and maintenance costs. So they tell us 30 to 50% less power consumption, 70 to 80% less operation maintenance, which on the life of the project makes a difference. This is what we have. This is what we're living with today. This is why, as Dr. Ryan said, we're not challenging. We're not asking why not. Why not change? Why do we do things the old-fashioned way? Why not? The word why and why not makes a huge difference. So on the left, you'll see an air supply duct with dust and mold and bacteria and fungus, principally because we have less fresh air and more recirculated air. And at the bottom, you will see fan coil units with the drains full of bacteria and mold. The one on the left is over a kitchen, the one on the right over a toilet. So all the steam, goes up into the false ceiling and lives a very happy life. And people think by switching the AC off, it gets energy saving. On the contrary, you will give it a great environment for bacteria and mold to grow. This is why we get sick. That's why we have allergies. That's why we're always coughing and sneezing. And we leave the country, we go outside, and suddenly we can breathe. This is the biggest reason to change. Forget kilowatt hours, forget tons, forget. The reason to change is health. And it's much better to have a simple, clean, fresh supply of air than the environment. I want to talk quickly about environmental health. So we did a test in Dubai for one of our projects for environmental health. And the bacteria, mold, and fungus in the airflow, as you can see, was 97% below standards. It was very nice to see. And the bacteria, mold, and fungus on the surface of the concrete was zero. Doesn't exist because concrete is alkaline and it's inorganic. So we know, that's why we were awarded the Indoor Air Quality Award by the Green Building Council. Now we talk about energy very briefly. On the left is a graphic from one of our projects in Jeddah, the blue line. And the red line is the owner's other building, which is conventional. And you see the owner turns off the AC at night to save energy, comes in the morning, turns it on to cool the building down. Whereas with us, we're using the AC at night and in the day, but on a total kilowatt hours, we're about 40% less. So this is a cycle we use because it's more efficient at night. And in the right is an English example where we compare our building, which is on the far right, to conventional buildings. You can see the heating and cooling loads are 70, 80, 90% less than conventional. In terms of scale, I just want to tell you that power consumption in a mall like Dubai Mall will cost 1.5 times to 2 times the cost to build a mall. So Dubai Mall costs $1 billion to build. They're probably going to spend $2 billion on electricity. If you can imagine that, you can imagine why rents are high and things are expensive. If we can help cut that 20, 30, 40%, imagine how much savings you would get simply from redesigning the structure to use the mechanical to cut power consumption. So these are the things we should think about: cutting local costs, cutting operating costs, and getting better environment. Just some examples. I'm skip these. Are just some of false ceilings. We don't like false ceilings. We like exposed concrete because it helps energy exchange. But just examples. This is a very interesting. I'll give you one case study for a school. This school was designed with conventional AC at 7.5 megawatts and roughly 2,500 tons. We redesigned only 2/3 to use our system because it had concrete, the rest had steel. So we cut the AC 58%, we cut the megawatts, 2.5 megawatts, which is a third. Yet our fresh air is 50%, and our power consumption is down 38%. My favorite quote is from the teacher at the kindergarten who said to us that since the school started, not one of the students missed one day from fevers, flu, colds, runny nose, and so on. So again, the health part is very important. There's some more examples, but just to show you, when they compare the maintenance of both systems in parallel at the same school, you can see the comments from the principal and from the head of facilities. It feels better, air is crisp, less humidity, easier maintenance, people more comfortable. We should not sacrifice. When we talk about energy saving, it's not a matter of being punished. It's actually a positive thing. Save energy, save cost, live better. This is the basic introduction. Usually I have 2-hour presentations. This is as quick as I can make it. So please, if you have any questions, maybe after the panel, we can have a chat. But thank you, Raad, for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Ghassan. I'm always blown away when I see the concept. It's such a simple concept. I mean, 70% of energy generated goes into buildings and more than half of that to air conditioning. And here we have a simple way of designing as such that we drop at least, let's say, 50% of capex and energy, and yet you have to go through consultants, convince owners, and maybe yes, maybe that. All right, we'll get to that. So hold on one idea that will be presented towards the end. So that's engineering and design. So now on to technology integration, may I say, and how we can generate or create water. I want to invite Keith Gardner. He's the CEO of Ishara Water to give a presentation, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Ishara Water, we're a UAE-based company, and as the introduction said, we're all about producing water and how we create water, and we do that through air-to-water solutions. So that's taking humid air and turning it into drinking water. We're obviously passionate about what we're doing. Every day you hear in the news, water crisis, plastic bottles in the ocean crisis, and we're trying to head off several of those things at once. And to do that, we've come up with a range of products from small household products up to large-scale industrial products to try and tackle these problems. We've got a pretty mixed team, everything from water filtration and engineering production experts, local business people, and those with experience of austere locations, military operations, and things like that. So to put it into context, in the atmosphere, there are 37.5 billion gallons of fresh water at any one time, which is an enormous amount of water resource just sitting there in the air. Now what we do is we take that humidity out of the air and we condense it and turn it into bottled water at a fraction of the price that you would normally pay for a bottle of water if you were at a supermarket or if you were going to any of the standard off-the-shelf bottles of water that you can buy. So as well as producing it at a cheaper price, we're also trying to reduce the environmental impact. You know, every time you pick up a plastic bottle of water, that plastic bottle is going to go somewhere, and often that is straight into the oceans. We're aiming, as I said, to produce quality water at a cheaper cost and in a more sustainable manner. The other point which is worth pointing out is water security. Dependency on a single source of water is obviously a security issue and a potential risk. If you have a problem with that supply, be it a groundwater source or desalinization or whatever your source of water is, if there's a problem with that and that's your only source, you've got nothing to drink. So our process, in very simple terms, we take the air in, we run it through an air filter to pick up any bacteria on the way through. We then condense the water, we store it, we then run it through further filtration to take out any microscopic particles. We treat it with ozone to keep it very fresh. And then actually before it comes out, we remineralize it because water that you take out of the air has not had any ground pollutants in it at all. So unlike water that runs through a stream or through a ground aquifer, which is picking up lead and anything that it runs through, our water just comes straight out of the air, so we don't have any of that. But also it means we don't have things like calcium and other minerals that we actually need in water as humans. So we actually re-add those into the water to an optimum level. Finally, we give the water hit with UV to kill any other bacteria that may be in there, and then dispense the water at point of consumption, having created it there and then. So to give you an idea of one of our machines, the EW1000, this machine stands about 2.5 meters tall, about 2 meters deep, and 1.5 meters wide, so it's quite large. And this unit will produce over 1,000 litres of water per day just from the atmosphere. So to give you an idea, that's enough water for 300 or 400 people. You could think of a construction site, an oil rig drilling platform, perhaps a refugee camp or a disaster relief zone. Any of these things this machine is suitable for. And you're looking at quite a low cost of produced water, as around 6 cents or even lower depending on your price of power. Again, the key things here being no plastic bottles are being used, and again, you're producing that very high quality water where you need it, rather than having to truck it in on trucks that are again providing you with pollution. Coming down the scale, we then have smaller units all the way down to the one on the far right is actually designed to sit on your desktop at home, in your kitchen, and that'll produce a couple of litres of water a day, up to 5 litres of water a day, enough for a small household. So again, you don't have to be going out and buying your bottles of water from the supermarket. You're just making it right there and there in your own home. We're big on what we're doing in terms of quality. Our water is, the water that's produced conforms to World Health Organization standards of mineral content and so on, and also the GSO, which is the Gulf standards for water. And then we have international recognition from ICE, which is an electrical board, halal certified machines, and then we're tested here as well through the ECAS scheme and by local water testing. So what it's all about? It's all about hitting those key sustainability pledges that are being made all around the world, and certainly here in the UAE, around clean water, innovation to be able to achieve that water, sustainable communities, responsible consumption and production. Think about not having to have those bottles of water being trucked around and moved places and used. And then again, the impact on the oceans of reducing the plastics. A quick thing on some of the people we've worked with so far. We've got our units up in Neom, which is the city of the future in Saudi Arabia, currently producing water there for the teams that are there. We're working with DEWA, My Dubai, and we've also been working in Malaysia and in Africa with various groups about getting units into Nigeria, Kenya, and as I said, into rural Malaysia, where we've currently got a unit producing water for a community. That's us.
Thank you, Keith. And we'll have one more presentation on another alternative model for generating water. So now switching gears, we'll look at innovative business models. And for that, I'll let Sanjeev Kumar, CEO of eSunscope, make his presentation. You have the slides, please.
Thanks, Raed, entire CEBC team, and respected guests for allowing me to discuss the opportunity about eSunscope. We started eSunscope in early 2018. Okay, so we started eSunscope in early 2018, and the idea was to bring digital solution or platform to the market for solar customers, EPCs, OEMs, leasers, along with O&M solutions. And this is how we started the journey and started building the tools, processes, procedures to minimize the manual work or soft cost as much as we can. This is our vision, basically. So the vision to make solar adoption simple by creating an internet of solar to connect all the stakeholders in solar journey supported by the knowledge center. We are an ecosystem which connects adopters who require systematic adoption process, EPCs who will get access to the aggregated demand, utilities who can use our platform to launch their solar programs, OEMs who can use our platform to launch their products, partners in different geographies who want to serve their customers, and finally the investors who are looking for syndicated, the credible project syndication and total asset management. We have already launched e-procurement and O&M services in the market, and we have started to see a good traction in with the customers. Customers see a lot of value in our model, especially in rooftop market segment, 50 kilowatt to 1 megawatt. In 2020, we plan to launch a differentiated offering around solar finance and utility programs. We have started preparing the resources as well as digitization plans for these offerings. Our solar financing offering will be based on our new leasing platform, where we will bring fully syndicated projects for investors to review and bid for the same. We do see a great opportunity in CSR segment, where funds are available. However, efficient deployments of funds and the structuring of programs is a huge gap. In 2021, we plan to launch our digital services through CSR platform, which can address global CSR programs by connecting the large corporates, international organizations with solar needs in desired areas. We plan to serve the global market, especially the developing and growing economies, through a lean and highly efficient knowledge center in India, which will have pool of subject matter experts who will design the processes, tools, conduct market research, provide various services to different stakeholders. All the services of knowledge centers will be dispatched through Internet of Solar. This is a platform which will host a variety of e-tools using a central knowledge services and cloud-based portal. And we wish to grow in different markets very fast, efficiently, and cost-effectively through these knowledge services. So we have knowledge center with pool of experts and tools. We have Internet of Solar to dispatch vehicle as a dispatch vehicle for services. In front line, we have SunScope satellite offices in the market. Currently, we have 5 eSunScope satellite offices. This is our first ESO. This is a real picture which I clicked. Our plan is to serve 60% of our market share through ESO and have ambitious plans of setting up 300 satellite offices with our partners in different geographies. Our business model has different revenue streams, which provides our company a diverse and sustainable financial health in long run. We have ambitious growth plan for ourselves, supported by well-rounded business acumen of our advisors, board of directors. Key is to continue to expand our offerings and add new cutting-edge technologies to our existing business model, while we are creating our brand value, pool of satisfied customers, expansion into multiple territories. New segments such as storage, hybrid, microgrid will be our growth vehicle for our business, supported by new IT technologies like blockchain and artificial intelligence. Our plan is to strengthen the core in 2019 so that we can enable the sustainable business model in 2020. In 2020, our focus will be customer acquisition, expand market base, invest in skill development, adding new offerings. In 2021, we want to build on our success, adopt artificial intelligence-based technologies, enter into new markets. We expect our business fundamentals to be very strong by the time we reach 2023. After that, we want to play big by having solar financial arm and invest heavily into IT tools supported by energy trading market. Thank you so much.
All right, so saving the very best for last, I would like to invite Vahid Futuhi, who is very well known in the clean energy sector, especially in the UAE, to give the presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is truly your last presentation, so bear with me. And as I mentioned, I've had the pleasure of working in the solar industry for a long time, for about 10 years. And initially, I joined the solar industry because I could tell that fossil fuels were not sustainable, and that sooner or later there was going to be a solution that was going to be found that was going to be based on solar. And equally, today, as was mentioned by the panel, we're having a lot of issues with regards to water scarcity, both in the Middle East and in Africa. And once again, I think that solar can help resolve that problem. And this is what the company does, using solar to address our water scarcity. Now, it's no surprise that we live in a dry world, but what is really shocking is the fact that 9 out of the 10 most water-stressed countries in the world are all here within a 3 hours flight. And so we really are at the epicenter of the problem. So the challenge becomes, how do we address this problem? How do we address the water scarcity issue, but without using, dinosaurs, essentially, by using fossil fuels to resolve it? And this is what this company, Zero Mass Water, has come up with, essentially. It's essentially a solar panel, but a solar panel that produces not electricity, but water. And we do this using essentially the humidity from the air. Now, unlike cooling the water to extract cooling the vapor, what we've come up with is a hygroscopic material that serves essentially as a desiccant wheel that, through the use of thermal solar power, heats the vapor in the air and transforms it into water. That water is then cleared, mineralized, and sent to a reservoir where it's gone through ozonation and for the mineralization. Now, how does it work? Well, it's very, very simple. Wherever there's humidity, there's going to be production. And whether you're on most coasts, such as the Gulf Coast or along the Red Sea coast, you could produce up to, as it says here, 1,500 liters per each panel. Is it safe to drink? So, very much so. And we've done taste tests both at the office and amongst our friends and family to confirm that the water actually tastes pretty good. And we'd like to think that it's comparable with Voss spring water, but you would have to be the judge of that. The other cool thing about it is that because it's solar power, it's very resilient, and as such, very simple to maintain. It sits outside. You only have to replace the air and the water filter once a year, and you only have to replace the mineral pouch once every 5 years. And so, from a maintenance point of view, because you're using the sun as your fuel, you're overcoming a lot of the conventional operations and maintenance costs that is so important. Hassan here, I thought, made a very vivid reference when he mentioned Dubai Mall costs $1 billion to build, but costs $2 billion per year to maintain. Is that? Yeah, that's over 30 years. Over 30 years. So operating and maintaining it is twice as much as building it. And this is something that often people overlook. They buy a product that may be cheap, but then they suffer from the maintenance and the maintenance costs. And with this technology, the maintenance cost is drastically reduced. And because of this, really you get three things. You get resilience, because whether you're faced with disruption to the water pipes or disruption to the electricity cables, you will still have water, because you're only depending on air and the sun. And if there's anything that this region has, is air and the sun. And so in terms of water security, there is no product in the market that gives you the same resilience and security as this product. With the quality as well, because we're using very good mineral process, you're sure to have good quality without contamination that may occur in anywhere along the value chain. And from an environmental point of view, because you're not depending on bottled plastic water, whether it's the 20-liter jugs or the 1-liter Masafi bottles, you're really cutting down on your plastic. And comes out to around 50,000 per panel. And for me personally, and it was referenced again on the panel, there is an increasing aversion to plastic bottles. I'm very delighted to see, for example, here they're using glass bottles. I think that's fantastic. And more people are mindful of their consumption of water and where it's coming from. Even at home, you know, when I'm looking for water and I'm trying to say, okay, let's just buy a bottle on the way, my son's like, no, Dad, think of the turtles. You got to use a reusable bottle. And so younger generation are almost demanding a more environmentally sustainable solution, void of PET. And with this technology, as indeed with Keith's technology, you're drastically cutting down on your PET bottle wastage. One cool thing about this is that being the 21st century, we have an app, but the cool thing about the app is that it's connected to your system, and you can see how much water is being produced and how much water you're consuming every day, so that there is no data lost, there's no loss of control over your asset. And what I was pleased to find when I joined the company is that this is already working in over 30 countries, soon 35 countries around the world, whether it's for refugee centers, whether it's for hospitals or schools, universities, homes, very popular. And in the Middle East, we have many, many clients that are also using this, and a growing number. And so when we think of water, we need to really think about sustainability. And the most sustainable is the one that doesn't need auxiliary power. It doesn't need to be plugged into anywhere. You could generate power today using only the power of the sun. And I think just as solar was, a nice gimmick 10 years ago and today is everywhere, solar-powered water 10 years from now will also be everywhere, which is great for us and also great for the turtles. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vahid. So to close, this is the last few minutes, so words of wisdom. If you are to name one challenge or one barrier, if dealt with, your technology, which seems obvious, obviously, would take off, what would be that challenge? Starting Ghassan. The question would go. Yeah.
It's
Make
a
wish.
big question, but I'll tell you, it's human nature. Honestly, it's human. It's not technology. Technology is there. We have technology today that can solve almost all our problems, not to perfection, but to a significant scale. Just how we adopt them. Whether we have the guts, the confidence to say, we want to try. I was just listening to Ms. Habiba's presentation about solar presentation, how much solar power is going to be in Dubai 2050, 2075. Imagine shrinking the amount of power you need so you can reach your targets earlier. Rather than building in 2050, you might make it 2040 by reducing. It's all about human will. And it's all about being personally responsible. If I have to say, to change my answer, is being personally responsible. Each of us is responsible to make a change. We can't expect somebody else to make the change. We have to say we can make it. Look at this girl, Greta Thunberg. She went and made a strike on her own. Look what happened. But people forget, 20 years ago, another girl did the same thing, had a big presentation at the United Nations. People said all the right words, nothing changed. We have to take responsibility, whether it's how we drive, how we consume, how we think, how we act, why we do things, question. So this is, as I said, my thing is personal. It's a personal issue. We've decided to focus on power consumption. We have water, we have solar provision. The ecosystem is there. It's just putting the pieces together. So that's my answer.
Thank you. Keith?
Yeah, I think that's probably succinctly summed it up. It's behavioral change around getting people to change the way they are acting. As you say, with all these solutions, and it's everything. What the Zero Mass guys are doing is awesome. The technology around building cooling, it's all there. But getting people's mindset to change their behavior is the challenging part. And sometimes it can be spurred on by the want to change for ethical reasons, and other times it needs to be a financial change. And I know the panel before were talking about incentives around pushing people towards electric cars and things. And so I think it's just the balance between when will people do it because they feel morally and ethically driven to do so, and when will people do it because there's a financial incentive or financial benefit to them to change.
Yeah. And I think acknowledging the fact, just to summarize what you're saying, that our standard of living, the quality of life that we lead comes at a price, and we have to be honest about that price. Somebody has to pay that price. We're just shifting it somewhere else. Sanjeev, what can enable your business? You're trying to fill the gap for distributed solar generation, few kW to a megawatt, where the owner doesn't have the expertise, and trying to do it in a model that can be global. What can enable your business?
So our plan is to provide end-to-end solution to the customer. End-to-end means the moment you have registered on our platform, right from site assessment, feasibility report, RFP preparation, bidding, and having all the, can you imagine the situation when you are preparing the RFP for your roof and then all the EPCs are bidding on your platform and you can see all the quotations coming in. At the same time, we also monitor or oversee the projects when it is getting installed on the roofs. After that, we can also take care of the operations and maintenance. One important thing is if you are looking for finance, if you are looking for leasers, syndicated projects, we will provide to the leasers also. So this is complete end-to-end solution where you can, I can imagine that, 20 years back or maybe 15 years back, we cannot imagine that we can book a Uber or Ola and go to somewhere, My visualization is that maybe after 2 years, you can, register on the platform and you can simply sit on the screen and you can get all the necessary steps to be taken and to make sure that the quality is being installed and it is very well taken care of after the installations where the operations and maintenance comes in. So we do see a great opportunity in rooftop segment, and being our business model is scalable and we can expand fast, as well as we can also kill the soft cost, because there are two types of cost in the solar power plants. One is hardware cost, which is related to the other market dynamics also. But the soft cost like services, if we can digitize everything, if we can prepare a proper tools, then that soft cost can be reduced. If we can reduce that soft cost, then solar installation can also become a little cheaper and become accessible to the general public. Yeah.
Thank you. Vahid?
I think the panel addressed it. It's really getting people to think outside of the box, think outside of desalination, and look at new potential, new sources for clean, good quality water.
Okay. I'll just add one more point. I was just thinking, not to blame ourselves that we should take responsibility, we should. But it reminds me of a story when I was in the US studying, and seatbelts were still not enforced. It was still up to you to decide to put seatbelts. But people were dying. At that year, I think there was 50,000 people had died in seatbelts. So the American government said we should promote videos about saved lives, it's good for your family. So they showed pictures of cars crashing and people in blood and saying seatbelts save lives. But seatbelt usage did not change. Nobody cared. Nobody made any change. And although it's good for them, they know it causes tens of thousands of deaths. They then instructed the car companies to make seatbelts that actually put on themselves. You don't have to do anything. You just sit down and the thing moves on top. People used to unplug them because they didn't feel like having this constraint. So after all this guidance and positive support, the carrot, the government said, okay, insurance costs are too high, people are dying in huge numbers, black points and insurance policies goes up. Immediately 90%, 95% put seatbelts. So yes, we are responsible, but there's also a chance for the government to make a clear decision to value clean air, clean living, and environmental solutions. Otherwise, if there's zero cost to this, ecology will always stay a fringe side thing. It won't be an economic. So it has to make money, but you have to value things properly. And so, yes, we are responsible, but we also should be putting pressure on decision makers to hold them accountable and say, we want to have something better. So again, sorry, that's to close the loop on the personal decision.
Well said. I think with that, to close, I will probably just try to make one statement. The energy transition is a huge challenge, but at the same time, it represents a massive opportunity. You can think of it as a wave that's already upon us, and that wave, either we're going to have to ride to shore or it's going to overwhelm us. And there'll be winners and losers. The region, the MENA region specific, the Arab region, has all the components to utilize that challenge and make it an opportunity. And it's a matter of putting the components together, making the ingredients, and putting the system that will capitalize on that. And with this, I really appreciate you taking the time and sticking around to the last part of our summit. I want to thank the team hopefully they won't talk to me for a couple of weeks, for the effort that they put together, and Ahmed, Michaela, and thank our sponsors and the Knowledge Foundation. And with that, I close the summit. Thank you.